Good morning, afternoon, guten Tag. I'm just kidding. I actually don't know what that means. Wow, look at this hair. Welcome back. We're getting used to a new setup, slowly but surely, and a new hairdo. So I appreciate your love, your patience, and your compassion as I navigate this transition journey. It's been uncomfortable. And what a beautiful segue into what we're going to talk about today, which is transformation. That's just coming to me on the spot. Don't get comfortable with this setup because it's ever evolving and changing. I'm really just testing out how this feels. How's the lighting? The angle is great because I can look at the camera straight. This is my straight, so that feels good for me. Um, yeah, I'm just looking for ways to make it more comfortable and and less resistance, right? Our passions should be set up in a way where there is little to no resistance to come to that place, and dive right in. I haven't made videos in a couple weeks, and I can see how it's affecting my life negatively when I don't use my voice. And the reason that I felt inspired to come on today is because I had a nightmare last night that really, when you wake up as a kid from a nightmare and you just sob uncontrollably, it was like one of those. And it was so incredibly uncomfortable. And, um, there was a following memory that came into my mind after I had woken up from the nightmare, and I realized I was processing what's called an emotional imprint, because at the time that this had happened, I hadn't processed it. It was something that I woke up and it was just happening. And when you get woken up from a nap, like, you don't really know what's going on. Even though if somebody's there telling you what's going on, you're still like, what? Am I dreaming? And in that moment, I think all I felt was frustration, in the experience where the emotional imprint took place. All I felt was maybe a little bit of frustration, like, why would you even wake me up and tell me this? Like, why are you disrupting my good sleep? And I understand now that it was because that individual at the time um needed the emotional support of my presence. And so, but yeah, I never processed this thing, and my dream last night has everything to do with me not using my voice, and dismissing boundaries, and where my survival needs became, or like the survival patterns, and yeah, it became greater than my means to stay connected to myself and my needs, and to listen to that inner harmony, and that space within that requires me to show up for myself, if that makes sense. And so if you're resonating with this, then great, and if you're not, then perhaps this video wasn't meant for you. But what I'm getting to is the transition period in between, when we are growing out of an old way of being, and embarking on a new journey or a new chapter in our life. There is always this in between period that requires us to integrate and take in and process, right? There's always this process period in the in between, and I think we forget that there's that moment when we just need to slow down and be empty, and straddle the world, straddle um, the old life and the new life simultaneously. And I feel like that is often a very uncomfortable time. And perhaps not always, but for me personally, I know it follows with some grieving and um it's like excitement for the new, but grieving the old. And like, as an example, when I dyed my hair, I was like, I really screwed this up. Like, I was so unhappy with it. Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to touch it up again with some pink. But yeah, there's a moment where it's just like the unfamiliarness of what's happening is what's really uncomfortable. It's not what's happening. It's the foreign um discomfort that it's new. And sometimes new things are exciting, but they can also be scary. And so um that that really, I guess, is why it feels so important to talk about transitional periods, and um, sharing what inspired that within me. And maybe you can see also where that's happening in your life, whether it's recognizing where, sorry, we're still figuring out all of the things. I'm trying not to show you my entire kitchen. And there. Oh man, that's kind of funny angle, but um yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I had to I and I feel like it's important for me to share what's kind of led up to this nightmare, and what I was feeling in the days coming up to today. Um, where today I feel more relaxed and in alignment, and like I've gotten off the hamster wheel again. I definitely recognize in the last week or maybe longer I've been running patterns. And I think this is the beautiful thing with emotional mastery is it kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been taught to believe versus what it really is and what that really looks like. And if I think of what I logically think is emotional mastery is, I am untouchable. I am an untouchable monk in its cave and unfazed by anything. That's not true. I'm still a human being. I'm still moving through the human experience. I'm still feeling the spectrum of human emotions. I'm still healing. Um, and I think that's important to share because some people would look at being like, how do you teach emotional mastery when you're not a master? And it's like, well, what is mastery? How do you identify mastery? Because mastery to me is being able to swing to the extremes of our human experience and bring yourself back. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I think that's the practice too, is the more you do it, the less time it takes, right? It's like doing reps with weights. And I use this as a frequent example, is that the heavier the weights get, the harder the reps are, right? But eventually over time you do enough of them and they'll get easier and easier and easier. And so that's kind of the practice that I feel like life puts us in is and goes hand in hand with emotional mastery as well, is they're going to keep adding weight every time you get really good at lifting whatever weight you've been lifting, right? And so for a moment, like, things were really easy for me before I hit this pattern cycle, this loop, where I kind of spiraled for a little bit. And it's so funny because I can consciously see myself in it, but it's almost like I can't do anything about it. Like, I can, but I have to run it. It's almost as if it has to run its course, and that's not for every circumstance. And um, there's a lot of times when you can just sit with the pattern and let it pass. But I had to, I think, go to this extreme for whatever reason and whatever lesson I needed to learn through it. And now I feel like so grateful that it happened in the way that it did, because I'm experiencing such a level of clarity because of it. And And that's another reason why coming into my YouTube channel is so significant, because it was kind of like, we need you to use your voice. We need you to. It was one of those things where I had put this on the back burner because it's not making me money, and it's something that is more like what I like to do for fun versus what keeps my survival needs met. And so I felt like I had to jump back into the race a little bit to meet those needs, which, yes, often that will support having your needs met, but um yeah, I just started running the pattern again of working really hard to receive very little, and that quickly it happened, so it came and went so fast where I was just like, "Oh, this isn't an alignment. Okay. How can I alternatively put myself into alignment and also get what I need? How can I have fun and take care of myself and also receive the financial support and the survival needs to be met?" And so it was kind of interesting because at the same time I got shot into this area of re rerunning or having this pattern come up. What comes to mind is and I know I'm kind of like, I'm trailing. We're on a journey here. If you've been with me before, you know how this goes. We're journeying. And so I don't always say what I anticipate to say. So if I'm like, I'm going to talk about this, and then I totally go left of field, it's because it's like this is a guided journey. It's like setting an intention for taking plant medicine, and then all of a sudden the plant medicine shows you, you're like, well, that wasn't like exactly what I wanted, but I guess technically it was, and that's kind of what we do here is I set an intention and I let it unfold how it will, because I'm in co-creation with divinity and with whoever is here viewing this, right? I'm tapping into a collective energy, um, where this isn't just for my benefit of expressing what I feel needs to come through, but also what will benefit whoever finds and stumbles across this video. Or maybe there's somebody specifically out there who really needs to hear what is coming through for me right now. And so that's kind of how we roll. Um, and I felt like that was important just to say for some particular reason. Maybe somebody needed to hear it before they were like, I'm going to click off because my logical brain isn't being satisfied because she's not organized or whatever, right? Like, this is a very spiritual place, and it's sacred, and it's a little bit crazy, and yeah, I kind of just roll with it. I'm an open channel and I just let it flow. Oh, and what a beautiful thing, because here we are. I was going to talk about something else, but now I'm going to transition to an alternative point that is following what I just said, which is when I stopped using my voice, when I stopped showing up to this space where it didn't only help others, but it was really helping me in my personal life, and in ways that um like nothing else can support me like this does. um it really it really shows me like the contrast of why when we're meant to use our gifts, when we're meant, if you feel called to speak. I love to talk. Like, when my mom or friend or somebody calls me, I am likely to just like talk their ear off. And until I started sitting with kind of like this, like a diary, but also talking to a collective that's benefiting from it, um, when I do this often, my mind is more organized. I feel less clutter internally. It's like my art of expression. And so if you have an art of expression that feels really good for you, please don't ignore it, because I promise you, the more you exercise that, the more it will benefit your life and the lives of others. when you're creating just for the benefit of you. That's something really beautiful about passion is generally when you do what you love, other people receive what they need. And I don't know why that is, but it's sacred. It's sacred. And so I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but that all felt really important. And I just love you. I love all of you for being here. If you're watching this and you've gotten this far, please do smack that like button. Drop me like a fire emoji in the comments if that resonates for you, or whatever, however this makes you feel. Write me a story. I love your stories. They warm my heart and they remind me to keep showing up, even though it goes against what we've been societally taught, which is like to work really hard and make lots of money and follow the man. And then I show up here and I'm just like making no money, just having a good time with my soul tribe. And that feels more fulfilling than $1 million in the bank ever could. And so I just want to take this moment to thank you. Thank you. I think it also has helped me find myself authentically and find my authentic voice in a way. And I'm an ever transforming being, right? There's no consistency in being human. So yeah, I'm changing, and I appreciate those of you who are ever evolving with me, um and 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 yeah, supporting the ever evolving journey, because change is the only consistent in life. Oh, is that what they say? Wow, imagine that. Yet we try so hard for consistency, and to come back to the pattern I was running, it was control. It was trying to control the money coming in, trying to control the work in my life, trying to control my schedule, trying to control this, trying to control that. I wanted consistency. I wanted everything to stay the same every week. I wanted the same work routine. I wanted, I even have, here, I'll show you. I made this schedule, which I ended up actually scribbling out this morning, where it was like Mondays are this and that, and then Tuesdays are this and the other. And I ended up, after my nightmare last night and a very extensive conversation with ChatGTP to help me identify what my subconscious stuff was coming up. And for those of you that haven't used ChatGTP in that way or at all, it's super beautiful, to say like, hey, this is the dream I had, or this is what I'm going through, and I'm just trying to identify what the pattern is, and this is how I'm reacting. And ChatGTP will offer you some things that you know ChatGTP has access to psychology textbooks and neurolinguistics programming programs and courses. It's like a branch to all of our information, and so I really use it for those educational purposes. And when I do, it always blows my mind. I can even actually, maybe I'll pull it up and share something with you guys, because that is what provided me clarity as to what was happening for me last night. And in a way, it validated what was going on for me. And this is not to disregard your human connection. Please, please don't get addicted to the online, our AI bots, because I notice how easily ChatGTP like knows we want to be seen and heard and validated, and so it will work accordingly to that if so. And but this is my like programmed, because it knows I work in the realm of healing. And so it gave me like a step-by-step process of reclaiming your boundaries and energy. Okay, and we're just going to read how it broke down my nightmare, because I feel like that is something that's super beautiful. And if your subconscious is speaking to you in a way um that you don't fully understand, this could be like a very beautiful entry point to help you understand what's going on internally when we feel like all is lost or we can't like unpack it ourselves. So in my dream, there were people invading my home. Um, and people invading your home represents your inner and your inner world and your personal space, a sense of safety. The fact that people were barging in, ignoring your distress and treating it like a party suggests that you feel or have felt a lack of control over your own boundaries. Broken glass and plastic covering the door. When people were barging in my dream, they were coming into my home, and one of them broke my front door, which had glass on it. And then the door was I my landlord had come over in the dream and put saran wrap, like a really thick saran wrap to as like a temporary fix. And so it says broken glass and plastic covering the door. Glass is a barrier of protection and clarity. The broken door suggests a breach in your boundaries, while the plastic wrap is trying to hold it together could symbolize temporary fixes to deeper wounds. And so if I relate it to what I've been navigating the last couple of weeks, it's like, wow, I was like trying to find control, and control is one of those temporary fixes to a deeper wound, which is feeling insecure or feeling like my survival is being threatened. And so this is just I have like full body chills as I'm saying this. The third one was when I called 911 in my dream, they put me on hold, and ChatGTP says 911 putting you, or sorry, 911. I don't know why I even read it like that. That was weird. Oh, a strong reflection of feeling unsupported, unheard, and like the system or those you turn to help for fails you. This could link to past moments where you needed protection or validation but didn't receive it. And then yeah, so it's just so crazy how beneficial uh AI can really be for humanity. And I hope if anybody does use it out there that they use it for their benefit, because there are super beneficial ways that it can be used. And I felt like that was a powerful one to share, because in those moments, it was 2 in the morning and I was just sobbing. I was sobbing so uncontrollably, and all I had was this flashback of my past, and it felt really scary. Like I had to get up and like turn lights on and look around and be like, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. And remind my my mind that I'm not where that was, but I was crying the grief that never got acknowledged in that moment. And it was as if that dream um and what had come up last night finally let me process the unprocessed emotion. And that was also what ChatGTP gave me. So, um, yeah, just really beautiful. I didn't mean to like advocate for our AI bots, but yeah, it's just it supported me in a way that um really, really, really helped in that moment. And so that's also why it felt significant to share, and that maybe someone else is also experiencing some things that they can't necessarily understand, and they don't quite have the confidence to speak to somebody about it, or maybe don't resonate with somebody to talk to about it. I mean, like I work with me because I resonate with how I work, which sounds so full of it, but it's true. Like I shouldn't say that. I've struggled to find like teachers or masters or therapists or, healers or holistic practitioners that I resonate with. And so I deeply rely on my own practices. And that's part of what I think is significant as to what I'm offering in the world, because every time I tried to reach externally outside of myself for support or for um, some level of, whether it was like medical, like the hospitals, or police, or I would try to reach just externally, like you would when you need protection or medical assistance, or you go to a professional. That's what we've been taught. You go to this professional for that and this person for that. And we have systems in place to meet these needs. But every time I reached for those needs, whether it was like a hotline or a medical professional or some other, like a yoga practice, I could not, it was as if I could not reach what I really, really needed through that, or I was rejected in the process. Like, I don't know a lot of people that have had therapists abandon them, but I've had several. And so I don't take that as like a means for, like, oh, why does the world hate me? Like, I probably had that perspective once, but I see it more as like, okay, this is offering me an opportunity to find alternative solutions to what is going on. And that is reaching into the depths of my being for those solutions. And that I actually, life drove me to the point of having to will the support, the love, the guidance that I needed from within. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that because now there is nothing outside of me that could ever help me more than the capacity I have to help and meet myself. And that being said, I'm not saying, like, it's definitely beneficial to reach, and if I feel called, I will. I'll call a therapist, or I'll call an emotional support guru or a best friend or my mom. But yeah, I definitely felt a level of needing to find these things and these I don't know, solutions and healings from within. And I think that's so beautiful about what it is I offer to my clients and what I'm passionate about, because that's what brought me to this place where I have so much to share and offer to you and Soul Tribe. And yeah, I don't know why this ramble took us there, but it was definitely something that was crossing my mind as I started the video. So it all makes sense. It's all come together. Thank you for being here once again. I think I'm gonna end it there and just make sure that my mic and everything is set up how I want it to be. It's going to change consistently. I have really been changing things in here. Our snuggle companion that is normally during our videos, Mr. Blue, will also be joining in future videos. He's just taking up our little love seat couch that we've replaced the big couch with, because the big couch was not conducive to healthy habits. So, yeah, big change has been happening, big transition, and it's okay to be uncomfortable in the in between. And once you recognize you're in the in between, you're like, "Oh, okay. Like, I'm just in the process of going from one world to the next, or one chapter to the next." And it's okay to have like that empty page where you're like, I don't like this. This is uncomfortable, and just sit with it. Um, and see how you can honor yourself through that process, because that's really all that's required, right? Is just to, how long can you sit with the discomfort of emptiness? um, yeah, it's hard. It is hard. But I feel called to share that one of my greatest meditations that helped me with sitting in emptiness. You can go check out my meditation playlist, and it's by Muji. It'll be closer to the bottom of the playlist if this calls to you. Um, but it's the only meditation that actually works to empty my brain for a short period of time. And so it's one of the only meditations that I do like quite consistently every day, because it really helps you just like step out of the mental chatter. So if that does call to you, you go to my meditation playlist and my YouTube channel, scroll to the bottom, find Muji. I think it's called Detach. If you don't know who Muji is, he's a darker skin tone with, I think he's got a big beard. If you're like looking for the thumbnail picture, and there's like grass and stuff behind him, I think you'll be able to find it if this calls to you. It should be pretty easy. I trust that spirit will align it for you. Thank you again for being here. I really hope my mic and everything is working accordingly. Oh, I love you all so much. Thanks again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Thanks for stepping in.